Howdy folks, Wes here. Today I want to show off my early mapping Stormweaver sort build. We are primarily using Arc, Orb of Storms, and Mana Tempest to do most of our mapping stuff. And then to kill the Abyss rares that spawn, we are using Lightning Conduit socketed into the Spell Slinger, which is a new meta skill or invocation skill that you get from using a dueling wand. So more on that later. We're currently doing tier 10 maps, and we could be doing much higher probably if the mapping system let us progress maps faster, but it does gatekeep you quite a bit. To progress the map level, you need to either stock up enough maps to use the Reforger to raise the level, or find map bosses to raise the map level, because they drop like one tier higher map when you defeat a map boss usually. Anyway, without further ado, let's get through the skills in the build. All right, as I was saying, my primary skills are Arc, Orb of Storms, and Mana Tempest, where we're using Rising Tempest, Rapid Casting, Control Destruction, and Lightning Mastery. If you only have +3, just don't use Lightning Mastery, but skill levels is very significant. As you can see here, this is 9,700. With an extra level, it goes up to 11,000. Really big to get as many skill levels as possible on your caster. The other skill we're using is Orb of Storms. This is socketed with Overabundance 2, Harmonic Remnants 2, Efficiency 2, and Rapid Casting 2. And then the final skill that's like really important to this particular build is Mana Tempest. We're using Efficiency 2, Lightning Mastery, and Rapid Casting 2. Essentially what you're doing most of the time is double casting your Orb of Storms, and then you're just sitting inside of it until it leaves. And you're just continuing to go. And you do have to occasionally press your mana pot. But yeah, you can see when we have just... Let me just get this guy. Lightning Infusion. The damage goes from 11,000 to 33,000 because it gets 200% more damage when you have a Lightning Infusion. Pretty huge amount of damage. So we're using the Orb of Storms to generate the Lightning Infusions, and then we're casting inside them to kind of speed up the amount the Lightning Infusion drop, because Orb of Storms drops Lightning Infusion when it expires. And then Mana Tempest really is just another thing to boost the damage quite a bit. And it causes your empowered spells to split to 3 targets. So this just like drastically increases your clear. So pretty much you're just wandering through maps and doing a little bit of casting. And then when you run into mobs, you throw out Mana Tempest. And it really just like propagates your lightning and clears everything. I have a pretty cool clip of that here. Oh my. Final like piece of the puzzle for us here is this Spell Slinger. And Spell Slinger is coming from this wand, and what Spell Slinger does is, while active, gain energy when you cast spells. Using the invocation, once sufficient energy is gathered, it will consume all the energy and trigger the socketed spells. Can trigger multiple times if it has enough energy. So for us, we'll just show this here. At about 60% energy, yeah, at 60% energy, we can use our Spell Slinger here. And usually, Lightning Conduit has like a 2-second cast time. It's very long, but when it's socketed inside the Spell Slinger, it's instantaneous. You just see it went out right there. And here we can show Lightning Conduit without Spell Slinger is extremely long cast. Very, very long cast. So it's very cool to have this go off instantaneously. Now, Lightning Conduit is special, and then it does more damage with hits per 5% of shock effect on the enemy. So the way that we're getting Lightning Conduit to do a lot of damage is we're trying to scale our shock effect, which Arc helps out with tremendously because it does 50% more shock magnitude. So you can right now I'm getting like 45% shock on enemies, which ends up being however much damage that is. 45, 9 times 25 is like 225% more damage with the hit from this. Just like an insane amount of damage. And we can scale this even higher. The gem is only level 18. We only have +5 to lightning levels. We can get this up to like level 30, I'm pretty sure, with relative ease. And it'll do just tons and tons of damage. For our spirit, we are using Archmage. Archmage has lightning mastery in it. And then I just have a lot of extra spirit, so I have clarity in there as well. And we still have our elemental curse and our frost bomb. We're not really pressing these too much unless we run into a particularly juicy rare or if we're fighting a boss. Yeah, and then because I have extra spirit as well, like I have a lot of spirit here, I am running Coalescence and Siphon Elements. We're using cooldown recovery on Coalescence, and we're using Second Wind. You could do either of these. I feel like if your survivability is bad, I would try running Coalescence. And if you're having like extra spirit left over, I would run Siphon Elements. Siphon Elements is using Remnant Potency. I don't actually think this works for Lightning Conduit, or not Lightning Conduit, the Lightning Infusions, but whatever, I have got it in there. I don't actually think this works though. But Harmonic Romance definitely works. And then we are using Mysticism, which gives you 40% increased spell damage while on full energy shield. We're not really at full energy shield a lot while mapping, but when you are, you really do blast quite a bit. And yeah, those are our skills. We have a weapon swap here with Sigil of Power. Sigil of Power, pretty self-explanatory. When you hit Sigil of Power, it gives you a nice buff that stacks up as you spend mana in it. It's like currently it's at stage 2. It gives you an extra 13% more spell damage per stage. It goes up to 4 stages. So eventually we want to get this to as high a level as possible. And just like really blast with Sigil of Power. But we don't really use Sigil of Power very often. Sigil of Power only dropping before like map bosses or the like tier 0s that we're able to fight. Now, to talk about gearing real quick, the most important thing to this build is the Dueling Wand. You definitely want a Dueling Wand. You want this level to be as high as possible. At higher levels, I'm not exactly sure the breakpoints, but you gain more sockets here. 3 sockets is obviously not that many. I think at level 16 or 17 or 18 on this Spellslinger, you gain an extra socket, and then at level 20, which is a new thing they added this season, there's a level 20 that you can get on these implicits now. We'll give you a 5th socket here, or I guess a 6th length. Otherwise, for gearing, you pretty much just want as much energy shield as possible, and you want to try to cap out your resistances. As you can see here, I am doing a bad job. My gear is not that good. I do not have capped resistances yet. We are working on that, and we'll get there. We are using Dream Fragments currently, which gives you 10% increased mana, but the real reason we're using Dream Fragments is for the you cannot be chilled or frozen. It is very annoying to get chilled in this game on this character, and Chilled Ground is a map mod you can get, and it is very frustrating. It immediately humbles you. Chilled Ground does. So I went and picked up Dream Fragments. I think it cost me 19 chaos. It's pretty pricey early on in the league. Definitely a like nice to have. But if you can't get Dream Fragments, that's okay. You can just get whatever rings that you can that have cast speed, elemental res, intelligence, mana, and lightning damage. Lightning damage would be really nice. On our amulet, we haven't anointed yet because anoints are pretty pricey. I recommend getting an amulet with like 30 spirit and then as much maximum energy shield as possible, and then whatever attributes or other things that you need to fill out. Ideally, to, like later on, we are going to look for an amulet with +2 levels of all spells. So that's definitely an upgrade we can get. On the focus, you want spell damage, lightning damage, cast speed, and level of all spells or skills, spell skills. And this current one is very mid lane, very upgradable. On the gloves, you probably want to get as much energy shield resistances as you possibly can. Mana is also fine there. We are trying to stack mana eventually. It's not a focus right now, but eventually we will be putting a lot of effort into raising our maximum mana, because for Archmage, gives you a more damage per 100 mana you have. So for every 100 mana you have, you can see you gain 4% extra lightning damage. So on the amulet, eventually we're going to change this to have maximum energy shield, maximum percent mana increase, spirit, all spell skills, and spell damage if we need it, or if we can fit it in there, and whatever else, probably like resistances or something like that. On the boots, you want to try to get move speed. 30% move speed isn't too expensive right now, but you want move speed, you want resistances, you want energy shield. Pretty standard. And then on your belt, you want to have at least 2 charm slots. With 2 charm slots and completing the campaign fully, you will unlock all of your charm slots down here. So 2 charm slots is ideal, and you want to get resistances on your belt and life, mana. Yeah, I think resistances, life, and mana, that's what you're looking for. And then I am currently using a Thawing Charm. This is a holdover from when I started using Dream Fragments. Because we're using Dream Fragments, we actually don't need the Thawing Charm anymore. I should change that. We do have a Stun Charm, and we are using a Bleed Charm. I'll probably change this to something like a Slow Charm, because Temporal Change is pretty tough, or a Poison Charm, or a Chaos Charm, because I have 0 Chaos Resist, and having more Chaos Resist would probably be really helpful. And yep, that's the gear. All right, and to talk about our skill tree here, we are still using the Arcane Surge with Constant Gale and Force of Will. These feel very nice. For our next points, we are going to get Strike twice to get 2 shocks at the same time. Shocks scale Lightning Conduit. 2 shocks will scale Lightning Conduit more, even with the less magnitude. Not sure what I'm going to do for the 8th point, but for the 6th point, that's what we're going for, is Strike twice. We are still coming straight up the tree here, but as new additions from the leveling build, we are now taking this node here, Insightfulness, and we are taking these nodes, the mana cost efficiency nodes over here. Very crucial when you start using Archmage. You definitely want to swap into these guys. These guys are great. And then if you don't have mana on kill on a jewel, just getting 1% mana on kill here feels very good too. For the jewel, to speak of it real quick, we are looking for maximum energy shield, cast speed, and spell damage, and magnitude of shock. I think those 4 mods. Specifically, maximum energy shield, cast speed, and magnitude of shock are really nice for us. Spell damage is also very nice, but cast speed and magnitude of shock are very nice. And for comfort, you can try to get recover mana on kill. We're still taking these infusions because we are using infusions a lot. We are coming up here. We are grabbing Archon. We're grabbing all of these guys. These guys are very good. Specifically, Electric Amplification and Pure Power will help us scale a lot. And then Shock Magnitude, very good for us over there. We are coming down here. We're getting the increased mana because we are stacking our mana quite a bit. We're trying to. We aren't quite there, actually. And we're taking the 3% Arcane Intensity here, 3% per spell damage per 100 mana, to double dip in the mana stacking between Arcane Mage and this. We do come down here. We are taking all of these still. I'm not entirely sure on Drenched. Drenched may not be worth taking, so we may end up pulling these points out. But for now, we're using it because it was part of our leveling build. We do take Patient Barrier, and we do take the Ingenuity because this gives us a lot of spell damage, and this gives us a lot of energy shield. Over here, we are taking the Archon nodes over here. These are some nice little Archon nodes. We are getting the cast speed over here. We are taking the extra spell damage from these nodes here, turn back the clock and turn forward the clock, just to gain a lot of spell damage. And we are using a medium radius time loss sapphire. For this time loss sapphire, you need to have medium radius for it to be able to include this Archon node and this energized node and this abasement node over here. I'm not entirely sure if we are going to go up and get energized in abasement, but they're nice to have. So medium radius is definitely needed. If you get large radius, you can also get this energizing Archon here, which I may end up taking later down the line. The important things on this time lapse sapphire are the cast speed and magnitude of shock. Those two things, plus the radius being medium, are absolutely necessary for the build. They feel very good, and we're using magnitude of shock to scale our lightning conduit damage, which will be our main boss killer. Cast speed also feels really good. We can also try to go for spell damage. I think spell damage is one of the options you can get on a time lost sapphire if you're feeling like the cast speed is you already like have good cast speed. We are using a weapon set 2. They changed this actually so that you can like just click this guy and it'll let you spend. I don't know if it's always been that way, but just to let you know, you can just click on this and it'll let you allocate points until you're the same amount of points. You can even change existing nodes. If you, let's just put this in here. Whatever. You can change existing nodes if you want. I don't want to mess with things right now. But yeah, we are doing weapon swaps here for curse stuff. If you don't know what weapon swap is, you can assign skills to be weapon set 1 or 2. So we have our curse on weapon set 2. When you press the curse button, it automatically swaps to the weapon that is using curse and the weapon set 2. So it activates all of these nodes instantaneously. And we pressed all of our other skills. You want to make sure that they're on weapon set 1 so that when you press these other skills, they swap back to weapon set 1. Oh, that sounds crazy. They swap back to weapon set 1. So curses are on weapon set 2. Damage on weapon set 1. And once again, it's down here, used with weapon set. You have to click this arrow and then click this. Sorry if I missed that before. But you want to make sure all of your damaging skills are on weapon set 1. That is very important. Very important to not be on weapon set 2 for these guys. All right. And then the final piece of the puzzle over here. Once you have this side completed, this like right side over here completed, you're going to be level like 74, 75. And then after that, we're coming over here. This is a bit of a ways to travel. It does feel pretty bad gaining levels and like not getting any upgrades. So you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 levels without getting an upgrade. Kind of annoying, but the payoff is really big. With this Archon buff duration, this takes it up from 10 seconds to like 17 seconds. Duration feels really good. And then we have this recovery period starts 10% faster over here. This makes it from a 20% cooldown to a, I want to say like 15 or 14 second cooldown. But the tooltip is kind of funny. I'll just show it real quick. We'll activate Archon. So we have 17 seconds of Archon. And then once it expires, it still says 20, but there's like it's blue text instead, and it counts down way faster than whatever 20 seconds is. You'll see here shortly. Like that is counting down much faster than 20 seconds. But that is the like arcane recovery. You cannot gain Archon buffs. This is much faster. I feel like it's like 13 to 14 seconds, just rough math. But it might be even faster. I'm not sure how that is happening. And then our final jewel, because people may not know about this jewel. This is a new jewel in the Abyss League called Heart of the Well. Drops from Abyss monsters. When you reveal this guy, or like get this guy, all of these are Abyss mods, and you get to choose one of 3 each time. There are a lot of these jewels on the market that are mispriced. Very, very good to get in on these right now, because there are some really good ones that are cheap. You can get insane skills on these. We are currently using skill speed, cast speed, recover mana on kill, and then 23% chance for lightning hit damage to be lucky. Lucky means it rolls with advantage, so it'll roll the damage twice and then take the higher number. Really insane for lightning damage, especially. The other skills that you could get that would be really nice is gain extra damage, specifically lightning damage would be good. If you find one with gain extra damage and like cast speed and lightning hits are lucky for cheap, buy that thing. That thing is nice. And that is our skill tree. Okay, just to talk about the gameplay of the build while in the hideout, and there's no pressure. Basically, you're running around, you're double casting Orb of Storms, and then you're spamming out your arcs. And then you're just making sure you always have Orb of Storms down, and you're pressing arcs. When there's a big group of enemies, or you just run into any enemies, you can cast Mana Tempest, and that will give you a lot of extra damage. And that should feel pretty good. Now, where Lightning Conduit comes into play is you see the like big abyss guys pop up that are really hard to kill pretty early on. They gave me a lot of trouble very early on until I started using Lightning Conduit here. But you make sure they're shocked, and then you hit them with the elemental weakness, and then you hit them with the frost bomb, and these two things will make it so their resistance is negative. And then you make sure to press your Mana Tempest, and then press the Spellslinger button. And this pretty much just like one taps all of those really big abyss guys for me right now. It's extremely strong. Even if I don't end up doing like one of those things in this combo, if I don't do the elemental weakness, or I don't do the Mana Tempest, just so long as they are shocked, the Lightning Conduit just rips them apart. It is very, very, very strong. And often, if it doesn't kill them, it will heavy stun them, which lets you like reposition, get your time back up, and just like continuing casting Orb of Storms. One thing to note, Lightning Conduit does have a cooldown. So when you press this, you cannot press it again immediately. Even if you're charged up, it will not go off until Lightning Conduit's cooldown is over. There, I was just spamming it. So, important to know. So yeah, that is my Stormweaver Sorc early mapping build. I'll try to have an update on the build in a few days, probably Wednesday or Thursday, more likely Thursday, with a more updated end game version, doing as high a pinnacle boss as I can, and as high level maps as I can. I think tier 15 maps are very, very achievable on this build. We'll see how the pinnacle bosses feel. I've been hearing that they made pinnacle bosses a bit harder. At least my friends have been struggling early on. We'll see how that changes as we get better and better gear throughout the league. There are a ton of upgrades that I can make this build still. The ceiling is not close. So I'm very excited to take this up to the next level. If you have any questions about the build, let me know. I will be answering everything in the comments. I'm very active on this YouTube channel right now, so just let me know. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.